Chapter 1. Lukewarm water. The next time Ethan Smith suggested we break up, I agreed. He always believed I was responsible for his father's death and owed his family a lifetime of servitude. But this time, I was done. Later, when his family found out I was pregnant, they tried to use it as leverage against me. Too bad. I'd already taken care of it. I saw Ethan was still gaming and hadn't eaten dinner, so I brought him a glass of warm water. But as soon as I pushed the door open, before I could even set the glass on his desk, he slapped it out of my hand. The sharp crash was followed by his roar. "Are you trying to annoy me?" I froze for a second. Seeing the grayed-out screen, I knew he'd lost his game. Every time he lost, he took it out on me. Ethan launched into a tirade. "Look at you, not only do you never bother to fix yourself up, making yourself look so ugly, but you can't even do the housework right. If you don't try to please me, who else would want you? Seriously, I told you not to bother me when I'm gaming. If you keep this up, we're breaking up." He slammed his keyboard, the loud thuds echoing as he threatened me. Seeing me standing motionless, he added irritably, "What are you staring at? Go clean up this mess. You owe me this." Such bad luck. He turned his back and started another game. I stared at him for a long time. It wasn't until I felt the sharp sting of glass cutting my ankle that I spoke, my voice hoarse. "Are you sure you want to break up?" He shot me a disgusted look and snapped, "I've wanted to for ages." This time, I didn't apologize like I always did. I just turned and left the room. As the door closed, I could hear the frantic clicking of his keyboard and his excited shout. Yes, that woman was definitely messing with my luck. The moment she's gone, I'm on a winning streak. I took a deep breath, walked to the bathroom, splashed water on my face, and stared blankly at my reflection. Ethan and I had been together for 7 years. It all started when I found a drunk, middle-aged man passed out in the snow. I did what I thought was right and called the police. But by the time his family and the officers arrived, he was already dead. The man was Ethan's father. From then on, his family blamed me, insisting that if I had called an ambulance immediately, he would have survived. Overwhelmed with guilt, I started helping them out. Eventually, at his mother's urging, Ethan and I got together. At first, it was okay. He would apologize after yelling at me. But as time went on, the apologies stopped, and he grew more entitled. He would often point his finger in my face and sneer, "You've slept with me for 7 years. Who else would marry you if we broke up? So just shut up and serve me. Besides, if it weren't for you, my dad would still be alive." Stop nagging me. It's so annoying. What's wrong with gaming? Women should stay out of men's business anyway. With my skills, I could go pro. Gaming is my way of making money. After that, I stopped trying to manage him. Out of guilt, I'd even support his dream. We had even gotten engaged recently, despite him not having a real job. And on top of it all, I had just found out I was pregnant. I touched my stomach, looked around the clean and tidy apartment I maintained, and suddenly that suffocating guilt lifted. I didn't want to marry him anymore. I had paid my dues. The lease on our rented apartment was ending soon anyway, so I decisively started packing my things, ready to leave. But as I dragged my suitcase to the door, before I could open it, it swung open from the outside. A woman in her 40s with shifty eyes walked in. The moment she saw the suitcase, she grew agitated. "What are you doing with a suitcase this late at night? Are you seeing someone else?" She snatched the suitcase from me, accusing, "I knew it. That's why you demanded a $60,000 engagement gift. You were planning to take the money and run. Weren't you? You're not leaving this apartment until you give me a good explanation." Chapter 2. The scheming mother-in-law. How had I never noticed what a sharp, mean face Ethan's mother had? Because of what happened to Ethan's father, I had gone out of my way to please Martha Smith. I bought her gifts for every holiday. Whatever my own parents got, she got too. When she visited our small apartment, I would cook for her and wait on her hand and foot. I never imagined this is what she really thought of me. Before I could respond, Ethan yelled from the other room, "Damn it, I lost again. Crap, Jessica Clark, didn't I tell you to sweep the floor? Are you ignoring me? What kind of girlfriend are you?" He stormed out, scowling, and saw me and his mother by the door. Without a second thought, he pulled his mother away from me, looking at me defensively. "What are you doing? Were you bullying my mom?" Seeing him so protective of her, a wave of nausea washed over me. I had truly wasted my kindness on them. I looked him straight in the eye and said, enunciating each word, "We have broken up. You have no right to control my actions." I reached for my suitcase, but Martha Smith pushed it back inside and started wailing to her son. "Look at her. If she had just acted faster. Your father wouldn't have died. She's probably found someone else she's leaving you, but before you go, you have to pay back the life you owe us." I laughed in exasperation. "Mrs. Smith, haven't 7 years been enough?" Martha dropped the crocodile tears and switched to belittling me. "Enough? How could that be enough? Besides, haven't we been good to you? What's all this drama for? Running away from home. If you leave Ethan, what will you have left? How can a woman survive without a man?" Ethan, thinking I was just throwing a tantrum over our earlier fight, said, "Can you stop being so dramatic? We're about to get married. Stop acting like a child. Go sweep the floor and I'll pretend this never happened." My gaze turned ice cold. Under their stunned expressions, I turned and walked out of the apartment. I didn't want the suitcase, I didn't want anything inside it, and I certainly didn't want the people. After leaving, I went straight to the hospital. Since the wedding was off, the baby had to be, too. I got an appointment quickly. After the procedure, I stayed in the hospital overnight and went to my parents' home the next morning. The moment my parents opened the door and I saw their concerned faces, my eyes welled up, and I finally broke down. I cried all morning until my eyes were swollen, and then I told them everything. "If you don't want to marry him, then don't." My mother, who had never said a bad word about Ethan in front of me before, finally snapped. "I never liked that boy anyway. If it wasn't for that whole incident, I would never have agreed to it." My father, sitting on the sofa, took a sip of tea and said calmly, "I told you not to marry him from the start, but you insisted. It's not like we can't support you." I started crying again and told them about the pregnancy and the abortion. They sighed, and that evening, they made my favorite sweet and sour pork ribs. I planned to rest at home for a few days, but I never expected Ethan Smith to be knocking on my door the very next day. Chapter 3. Pregnant and terminated. My parents were at work during the day. I had taken 2 days off because of the breakup, so I was home alone. I saw it was Ethan through the peephole and had no intention of opening the door. But he kept knocking and knocking, getting on my nerves. He even called me multiple times. I didn't understand. Wasn't he the one who wanted to break up? I opened the door and asked coldly, "What are you here for?" Ethan was holding a bouquet of 99 roses, a gentle smile on his face. His eyes, curved in a crescent, held a look of affection I hadn't seen in a long time. He was wearing the same clothes he wore when we first met, clean and neat, like a young man just starting out. He was undeniably handsome. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been so foolish for 7 long years. My mind drifted for a moment until his command-like tone brought me back. "Jessica, can you stop this? It was my fault. I shouldn't have yelled at you. You're troubling your parents by staying here. They're getting old. You should show some filial piety and come home with me. The house has been a mess since you left. No one is cooking for me and Mom, and this month's rent is almost due, and you haven't paid it yet." The more he spoke, the more entitled he sounded, until he finished with what he must have thought was a deeply affectionate line. "This home needs you. My mom and I need you." For a moment, I was speechless. All thoughts of the life debt and our 7-year relationship vanished. All I wanted to do was slap that smug look off his face. So I did. The sharp sound of my hand hitting his cheek echoed, leaving him completely stunned. "Jessica Clark, I came to apologize and you hit me." Ethan roared in disbelief. "I give you an inch, and you take a mile. You've gone too far." I sneered and slammed the door in his face. I let him yell outside for a while, only relaxing when it finally went silent. I thought they had given up, but the next day, he showed up with his mother. They had secretly made a copy of my parents' key and walked right in, sitting on the sofa as if they owned the place. Martha even poured herself a glass of water. "You're not welcome here. Get out," I said impatiently. The next second, Martha slammed a pregnancy test report on the table. "Have you had enough of your tantrum? If so, come home. I was wondering why you were so moody lately. So, you're pregnant. In other families, a pregnant daughter-in-law might be cherished, but not in ours. You think having a bun in the oven makes you a princess. Seeing me stand there stunned, she thought I was scared. She let out a small laugh and laid out her demands. Since you're pregnant, the terms of our engagement will have to change. A girl getting pregnant before marriage. It's not good for your reputation. No one but our Ethan will marry you now. So, if you want our son to marry you, there will be no engagement gift. Your family will pay for the wedding, and you'll provide a dowry of a 100,000 car. As for a house, I think this one is quite nice. Tell your parents to move out. They have pensions after all. On what grounds? I sneered, turning to Ethan. Is that what you think too? Ethan asked me. Are you pregnant? I nodded, admitting it freely. Before either of them could look pleased, I added, unfortunately, I already had an abortion. Chapter 4. Shameless, what Martha's voice shot up. She pointed a trembling finger at me, her face contorted with rage. You already owe our family one life. Not only do you show no remorse, but now you've taken a second one. Do you have a conscience? She collapsed onto the sofa, squeezing out crocodile tears. Ethan stared at me, his eyes filled with condemnation. That was your child, too. How could you be so cruel? Then again, you killed my father. What wouldn't you do? Looking at Ethan, I felt not a flicker of the love I once had. I had been a fool, blinded by his looks and the weight of a false guilt. I had simply called the police out of kindness. How was his death my fault? Had I really believed I owed them something just because I was dazzled by a handsome face? I took a deep breath. For 7 years, out of guilt, how have I treated you? Ask yourselves. I paid the rent and I bought your food. To put it bluntly, you're from the countryside. I, a city girl, was willing to marry down to return the engagement gift, and my family was even going to pay the down payment on a house. And that wasn't enough for you? I spoiled you for a few years, and you thought you could walk all over me, that I had no backbone and would let you bully me forever. The grievances of 7 years finally erupted. Do you have any idea how insufferable you've been for the past 7 years, Ethan? I roared, unable to tolerate their behavior for another second. But you owe us a life, that's what you owe us, Martha yelled back, her neck stiff with indignation, hands on her hips. In her mind, a woman couldn't live without a man. Her husband was her everything, and if I hadn't been slow to call for help, he wouldn't have died. Why call the police when you see someone in the snow? Why not an ambulance? She demanded again. My expression was cold. Without the filter of guilt, I wouldn't be intimidated by them. The police would have taken him to the hospital. What's the difference? Besides, I found the report in your house. The deceased had been dead for 7 hours when he was found. He was already dead when I found him, I screamed. I shouldn't have endured so many years of this torment. I had only put up with it for the sake of my relationship with Ethan. But everyone has a breaking point. Even a cornered rabbit will bite back. Why should I always be the one groveling? Especially after finding that report. Even then, I had convinced myself that Ethan didn't know. He was just so deceptively charming. But that glass of water had been a splash of reality, forcing me to see his despicable nature. How could he not have known? My outburst made them both look guilty. When I saw Ethan purse his lips, unable to refute my words, my heart turned to ice. Beauty is truly deceiving. I rubbed my temples, trying to clear my once muddled head. Well, even so, you got rid of our Smith family's child. That's still a life. Martha stammered, finally finding another point of attack. You can't deny that. Ethan brushed back his hair, a hint of his old confidence returning. That child was mine too, Jessica. How could you just get rid of it? I scoffed and pulled out my phone to show them the law. See this. I have the right to decide whether to give birth or not. While I deeply regret losing this child, I had to do it to cut ties with you completely. If you hadn't treated me so unfairly all these years, perhaps this child would still be alive. So it's all your fault. I smiled sweetly, surprised at my own ability to turn their moral blackmail back on them. I had them to thank for that. Martha was furious. That was our grandchild, a Smith, you murderer. You'll pay for this? I stared at her coldly. I suggest you leave now. If you don't, I'm calling the police." Seeing that there was truly no turning back, Ethan actually pulled his mother toward the door. Before leaving, he turned to lecture me. "I know you were unhappy that I ignored you for my games, but I never thought you'd take it out on our child. A person like you doesn't deserve to be a parent." I rolled my eyes and shoved them out, tearing up the pregnancy report for good measure. Well, that was settled. At least I no longer had to worry about losing my job over a pregnancy. I smiled, adjusted my mood, and prepared to go back to work the next day. I have a bachelor's degree in copywriting, and I'm currently a team leader. It took me 3 years of hard work to get this promotion, and I make $7,000 a month. In another year, when my director leaves, I can take her position. That would be $10,000 a month. I can't believe I actually considered giving up this opportunity if his family's attitude had changed because of the baby. I wanted to slap my past self for being so foolish. This was a major corporation with great benefits. There was no need to ruin my life over a scumbag. I changed my clothes, deciding to go shopping. I put on a long, waist-cinching dress I'd never worn before. An elegant woman stood before the mirror. I applied the final touch of lipstick and decided to visit the biggest mall in the city. I also messaged my boss, Irene Jones. She's my director, an overseas returnee who plans to move to a bigger city next year. We're not just colleagues, we're good friends. Maybe it's because women understand women, but she was both sympathetic and furious about my situation. When I told her about the breakup and my need for a day off, Irene said cheerfully, "You've finally come to your senses, take a vacation. You deserve to relax." I told her I was over it and would be back at work tomorrow. Irene immediately video called me. "I'm off today too, seeing you all dressed up. Why don't you take me shopping with you?" Irene said with a smile. "Wait for me, I'll drive over and pick you up," I nodded, feeling calm and looking forward to a day out with my friend. Soon, a car pulled up downstairs. It wasn't expensive, maybe around $30,000. It was within Irene's means, as she came from a well-off family. I got into the passenger seat. 7 years, are you really over him?" Irene asked as soon as I got in, then added with a mix of frustration and concern, "Don't tell me you're just saying that, and you'll freeze up the next time you see that Ethan Smith. Let's be honest, if he wasn't so good looking, you would have just helped his family out of guilt, not agreed to marry him." Irene understood me perfectly. Chapter 5, An Encounter. I sighed. I found his father's autopsy report at his place. It was hidden very well, shredded and stuffed in a crack behind the bed. I was curious, so I pieced it together. It said the man had been dead for 7 hours by the time he was brought to the hospital. He was already gone when I found him. I looked out the window at the passing scenery, breathing in the fresh air. Why hang myself on one crooked tree? I'm done being a fool for a pretty face. Irene glanced at me, turned the steering wheel, and drove into the underground parking garage. She got out, closed her door, and continued, "I don't believe that. Everyone appreciates beauty. That's not the issue. You're so decisive at work. Why are you so hesitant when it comes to love? Is it true that you can't have both a career and a relationship?" Irene took off her sunglasses and even opened the car door for me as I pondered. "No, it's not that. I just feel like I was a complete idiot. After the breakup, all I feel now is disgust, and I don't know why," I said, shaking my head. It was a strange feeling. Disgust for Ethan, and disgust for myself for being with him for 7 years. We chatted as we walked out of the garage and took the elevator to the first floor, which was filled with clothing stores and high-end jewelry shops. I blinked, suddenly remembering a pair of earrings I had admired for a long time. They were made of moissanite chips and silver, very beautiful and suitable for my age. They weren't expensive either. You were paying for the brand's design. I had asked last time, and they were about $600. But I didn't buy them because Ethan said I was wasting money. He spent so much on his games, yet he had the nerve to control my spending on a pair of earrings. We had a huge fight about it, and in the end, his mother convinced me by saying, "Wait until you're married, then he can buy them for you." That line was like brainwashing, and I didn't buy them. Thinking back now, it was so foolish. I'll buy them today to celebrate my escape. I pulled Irene along. Let's go to that brand store we both love. I wonder if they still have those earrings I liked so much. Irene was happy to see me moving on. As we walked, she said, I was always planning on leaving my director position to you. You're efficient and capable of managing the team. Do you know what a headache it was when you told me you were pregnant and engaged? I was trying to figure out how to explain it to the manager. Now I don't have to worry about it anymore, Irene said cheerfully. I have an elegant and quiet appearance, and when I'm serious, I can look quite stern. But I usually smile a lot, so I get along well with my colleagues. I know when to be serious and when to be friendly. I'm good at motivating people with promises of future success. I never thought a scumbag would use the same tactic on me for 7 years. I pursed my lips and quickly led Irene into the store. Irene is a stunning beauty with striking features. She turned heads as we walked, and she attracted attention as soon as we entered the store. Everyone would look at her for a moment before turning away, their gazes purely appreciative. That lady's makeup is so heavy. Won't it ruin her skin? A soft voice came from a corner. A delicate-looking girl was clinging to a handsome man's arm, murmuring as she looked at the jewelry. Her tone was one of cautious concern, but the words were grating. If it were me, I would have ignored it, but Irene wouldn't. She detests passive-aggressive comments. If you use natural cosmetics, it won't ruin your skin. Plus, I get regular facials, Irene said, walking slowly towards the girl. She sneered, only cheap, unregulated products ruin your skin. She put on her glasses and, seeing the girl's pale face, added, You're not using those kinds of products, are you? Right, they are cheaper after all. Irene spoke with a smile, her tone casual, as if she were just stating a simple fact. But her words were like needles to the girl. What's your problem? The girl's boyfriend, who had been looking at jewelry, turned around and snapped. She was just giving you a friendly warning. Why are you bullying her? I froze when I saw the man's face. It was my disgusting ex-boyfriend, Ethan, and the petite girl next to him must be his new flame. I stood silently to the side. Irene obviously recognized him too. She chuckled. Moving on seamlessly, are we? No wonder you'd say something like that. If you have the guts to indulge him, you should have the guts to deal with the consequences, scumbag. Ethan's new girlfriend was not pleased. Ma'am, I was just trying to be nice. You don't have to attack me personally. Are you trying to get Ethy's attention? I know he's handsome, but he has a girlfriend. Your behavior is inappropriate. Lynn Taylor pulled Ethan closer, as if declaring her ownership. They had met while gaming and had been a couple in the game for a year before meeting in real life recently. To be honest, she was thrilled when she saw Ethan in person. He was as handsome as a movie star. It didn't matter if he had no money, she was willing to support him. She was even willing to marry him, treating it as if he were marrying into her family. Lynn glared at Irene, assuming she was trying to steal her boyfriend with such a cliché tactic. You're his director from work? Ethan finally said after a long pause, his expression dazed. Then he saw me standing beside her. What are you doing here? He asked with a frown. Lynn was taken aback, her gaze on me growing stranger. She asked softly, Is this that controlling girlfriend you told me about? I looked at Ethan calmly and chuckled. So that's how you describe me to her. How long have you two been together? I asked. Lynn leaned smugly against Ethan, challenging me. We've been together for a year. Jealous. If you hadn't been clinging to Ethy, we would have been together sooner. You were always trying to stop him from gaming. Well, now we're a gaming couple. I can play with him, she glanced at me, adding pointedly, A woman with no hobbies is truly boring. I touched my face and sneered, You're treasuring the trash I threw out. No wonder you use makeup that ruins your skin. Irene burst out laughing beside me. I ignored their dark expressions and called over a salesperson. I saw a pair of sparkly earrings in your store last time. Do you still have them? The salesperson smiled. One moment, madam. I'll go find them for you. Chapter 6. I want whatever you want. A moment later, she returned from a counter with a pair of earrings similar to the ones I had seen before. You're a regular customer, so I remember your taste very well. This pair is very similar to the one you liked, but with an added brightening effect. I'm sure you'll love it. She took the earrings out to show me. Ethan scoffed. So, you saw that I wouldn't buy them for you and decided to get them yourself. Is your salary even enough? You could barely support us. How can you afford earrings? Lynn, the reason I broke up with her was because she was a spendthrift and too controlling. If she hadn't been clinging to me, I would have been with you long ago. Ethan complained to Lynn, trying to paint himself as the victim. His handsome, aggrieved face melted Lynn's heart. Without a second thought, she snatched the earrings from the salesperson's hand and declared, "Name your price, I'm buying these." The salesperson smiled awkwardly. "Ma'am, this other lady saw them first. We should respect the first come, first served principle. If you'd like something similar, we can find it for you." "No, I want this pair," Lynn said defiantly, shooting me a disdainful look. It was clear she was doing this just to spite me. Utterly disgusting, I sneered. "It's fine, I'll choose another pair. I don't want to use the same things as the other woman. Even something similar would feel tainted." "What did you say? Who are you calling the other woman?" Lynn shrieked, pointing at me and Irene. "You're all ganging up on me. A weak woman, I was just kindly reminding this lady that heavy makeup isn't good for her skin, and she started insulting me, saying I can't afford expensive cosmetics. Who does she think she is? And you and Ethan are broken up, so I'm not the other woman. You're all bullying me." As she spoke, Lynn started crying loudly in the middle of the store. I frowned and glanced at her. "How old are you?" 18, what's it to you?" Lynn sobbed. "Just turned 18. No wonder you're so childish. Did you know Ethan and I only broke up yesterday? You've been with him for a year, didn't you know that?" I questioned, genuinely curious. I didn't want to wrongly accuse a woman of being a homewrecker if she didn't know, but I was certain Ethan was a scumbag. Lynn's expression faltered for a split second, but I caught it. My eyes grew cold. Ethan chose that moment to play the hero. Why are you bullying her? Apologize to Lynn now. He hadn't stepped in earlier, but now he did, clearly enjoying the sight of two women fighting over him. I shook my head and laughed. She snatched my things first. Why should I be the one to apologize? My voice was calm, devoid of any post-breakup sadness. Lynn stood up, crying, and said nonsensically, "No wonder you couldn't stand your ex-girlfriend. She's so aggressive. I just said a few words, and she's acting like this. Besides, I only grabbed the earrings to stand up for Ethy, because you used to control his freedom." She wiped her tears, saying this without a hint of shame. The other customers were now staring at us. Some were enjoying the drama, while the more timid ones had already left. Only a few salespeople stood there with dark expressions. One muttered under her breath, "Why does this soap opera have to happen here?" Ethan had a look of sudden realization. "You don't want to break up, do you? Is that why you followed me here? Or did you find out about Lynn and me being a couple in the game and got jealous, so you had the abortion to cut ties with me? The truth is, you still love me, right?" Ethan said confidently, stroking his hair and pulling Lynn into his arms. With his clean-cut, innocent looks, he was very good at deceiving young girls. It explained why Lynn was willing to be the other woman. She clutched his shirt, looking at me warily. "Don't you dare try to steal Ethy from me, or I won't let you off." She took the earrings and said to the salesperson, "How much?" "I'm paying." The salesperson looked at me hesitantly. I nodded, and she led Lynn to the counter to pay. Lynn dragged Ethan with her, as if afraid I would try to snatch him away. After paying, she stopped in front of me on her way out. "You tried to stop Ethy's dream and take away his freedom, but I won't. I will support him in going pro, just you wait. Abandoning Ethy was the biggest mistake you'll ever make." Lynn gave me a final glare and left, pulling Ethan with her. Ethan smirked, his expression a mix of blame and triumph. He mouthed silently, "You still owe me a life. When I'm successful, this isn't over." Irene nudged me. "I never knew you had so much restraint. Why didn't you just punch them?" I shook my head. "We live in a civilized society. What good would hitting them do?" I walked to the counter and said to the salesperson, "All right, you can bring out the pair I originally wanted now." The salesperson smiled and retrieved a small box from a drawer under the counter. She opened it, and there they were, the exact pair I had wanted. You reserved this pair in advance and asked us to hold it for you. As a loyal customer, you certainly have that privilege. She handed me the box. I put them on, looking in the mirror. My elegant and soft appearance instantly transformed, giving me a cool and noble air. Perfect. That was the effect I wanted. When the salesperson had reached under the counter earlier, I had given her a slight shake of my head, and she understood immediately. A true sales veteran. I smiled. I'll be sure to shop here again. I put my old earrings in the box and walked out of the store with Irene. You see, arguing with insignificant people only brings frustration. I don't care about them at all, as long as they don't bother me. After all, I was the fool back then. I should be blaming my past self for being a poor judge of character. I linked my arm with Irene's, and we strolled through the first floor. She bought us 2 coffees, and we sipped them as we walked. I'll never be as level-headed as you. If I were in your shoes, I would have started a fight where nobody wins. I can't think that far ahead. It seems the director position is really best suited for you, Irene said with a laugh, suddenly bringing up the topic. I had a bad feeling and asked tentatively, "Are you leaving?" Chapter 7. Plans for the big city. Irene sighed. Yes. I've learned all I can here. It's time to go back and work for my dad. She thought for a moment. Why don't you come with me to my dad's company? I guarantee you'll get great benefits. I knew you wouldn't leave this city because of that scumbag, but now that you've broken up, why not move to a bigger city for your career? Irene looked at me seriously. You're talented, and I want to help you grow. At my place, you wouldn't have to worry about losing your job if you got pregnant. I can offer you a salary of $10,000 a month to start as a trainee director. I believe in you. I blinked and smiled. I accept. I'll follow the boss's daughter for a good life. Irene laughed heartily. We had lunch, and then she drove me home. I promised her that when she left in a month, I would go with her. I needed to talk to my parents about it. Their jobs were here, so they wouldn't move with me, but I would have to come back for holidays since I'm their only daughter. I was contemplating how to bring it up with my parents when, on my way upstairs, I was blocked by the sharp-faced Martha Smith. She spat at me as soon as she saw me. Pa. Martha glared at me as if she'd caught a thief, her mouth twisted in a sneer. So that's why you got rid of the baby and broke off the engagement with my son? You found a new man? I stood calmly on the staircase. Not as fast as your son, who found someone a year ago. A gust of wind blew past. I grabbed Martha's hand as she tried to slap me, my eyes cold. You brat, how dare you raise a hand to me? I'll let the whole neighborhood know what kind of person you are, Martha shrieked, struggling in my grasp. Hess, I'm not your daughter-in-law anymore, I sneered. Your family is pathetic, only able to survive by leeching off others. What did you say? Martha's face turned into a vicious snarl. I shoved her away and said coldly, Get lost. Martha scrambled up, about to say more, but I went upstairs and slammed my door shut, leaving her to curse and bang on the door outside. I didn't want to cause a scene, but if she tried anything else, I would make her regret it. When I got inside, my parents were waiting for me with dinner ready. Hearing the yelling outside, my dad frowned. What an annoying pest. My mom said, Honey, just ignore her. Let her yell. Think of it as just noise. Okay, I nodded and then told them about Irene's offer. My parents were very supportive. It's time for you to go out and see the world. After you've experienced more, you won't get hung up on a loser like Ethan again, my dad joked. After dinner, I went to my room and saw a framed photo of Ethan and me on my desk. Without a change in expression, I threw it in the trash. The next morning, I woke up early, cleaned the house, and then left for work. I had only walked a few steps when Irene called, asking me to go shopping. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop. When I arrived, she was already there, sipping her coffee. Sorry, I'm late, I said, sitting down next to her. She looked up and smiled, waving me over. I smiled back. Didn't we just go shopping yesterday? Irene looked down and took a sip of her coffee. There's a big client I want you to meet this afternoon, so we can shop this morning. A big client. I remembered a business card Irene had shown me once when I was still with Ethan. Her expression suddenly became serious. Oh, I forgot to show you. I looked at her quizzically. She pulled the same card out of her bag. The words Sterling Corporation were printed on it. My heart skipped a beat. Sterling Corporation, they were a multinational conglomerate in a city. Their businesses covered almost everything. Department stores, hotels, restaurants, tourism, fashion. They were the dominant force in the city's economy. I had read in a magazine that the chairman, Dominic Sterling, was a formidable figure. He rarely visited a city, but when he did, it was a major event. His assistants and secretaries were also top-tier professionals with immense prestige in the business world. His son was just as brilliant, having become the most capable heir to the Sterling Empire. How did you get his card? Oh my God, are you secretly a rich heiress just experiencing normal life? I asked. Irene shrugged. It's nothing. A friend of mine is a secretary at Sterling, and he introduced me to his secretary. And that's how you got it? I asked in disbelief. Yep, she nodded. Irene, are you messing with me? No, I just think you're a good fit, Irene said earnestly. So who's this friend of yours? I'd like to meet them, I said, hopeful. I had to meet someone as legendary as Dominic Sterling. My dad, she said, her eyes sparkling. Wow, your dad is seriously impressive, I exclaimed. See? I wasn't lying, Irene said proudly. No, you weren't. He's beyond impressive, I agreed. A sly smile played on Irene's lips. So, I'm counting on you. No problem, I nodded. By the way, we have to land this project with Sterling, she added. Honestly, this company is a test from my dad. If I can do this well, he'll let me take over from him. Secretary to the chairman of Sterling Corporation. Just thinking about it is exciting, Irene said, sipping her coffee. And getting Mr. Sterling to give us this project is the final part of the test. If I pass, I'm in. With your help, I can put in a good word for you. A trainee director position at $10,000 a month will be a piece of cake. A Sterling project. How can a small company like ours get it? I asked, uncertain. Don't worry. It's a big project for us, but for Sterling, it's just a scrap of meat, not even enough for a mouthful. So it's relatively simple. It's also kind of an interview, Irene explained with a smile. We finished our coffee and decided to walk around the business district. I've already booked a table at the restaurant. All we need to do now is relax and not be nervous, Irene said. I shook my head, laughing. I'm not the one paying. But to my surprise, a passerby held up a phone to my face, looked at me, then at the phone, and said, Are you that woman from the internet? The one who killed her father-in-law, cheated on her husband, and ran off with the engagement money? What? I said, incredulous. The person frowned. You don't know? Your picture is all over the trending topics. An old woman is on there, publicly accusing you. Chapter 8. Smeared, an old woman, accusing me? I instinctively asked, pulling out my phone. Sure enough, at the top of the trending list on the most popular video app was an old woman denouncing her daughter-in-law. 3 accusations stood out. The woman caused the death of her fiancé's father and offered to marry him out of guilt. The woman demanded an exorbitant engagement gift. The woman cheated with another man and ran off with the engagement money. With these claims, coupled with the old woman's tearful performance, the video went viral instantly. This kind of drama was extremely popular. The woman had even helpfully included a photo of the accused. The photo was of me, and the old woman was Ethan's mother. I sneered. She posted these videos without thinking about how easily lies can be exposed. With the police report, the autopsy report I had photographed, the transfer record of the $60,000 engagement gift I returned to Ethan, and his chat logs with Lynn, I had plenty of evidence. What gave her the audacity to take this public? But it was clear that the bandwagon mentality of netizens was a powerful force. In less than 10 minutes, she had become a viral sensation. Overnight, her popularity soared. For every comment mocking or congratulating her, another would appear. Don't be fooled, she's the one who killed the guy's father. That accusation alone was explosive. Combined with the other 2, it was a perfect storm. I was speechless, but I didn't plan to clear my name just yet. If I was going to be this famous, I might as well use the publicity to promote Mr. Sterling's project. This was unbelievable. The next moment, my phone nearly dropped from my hand. As we reached the commercial district, I saw reporters everywhere, their cameras pointed in our direction. What was this? Were they trying to make me famous? And these weren't small-time bloggers either. Irene and I had to beat a hasty retreat. At least they had the decency not to shove microphones in my face. "We should go somewhere else," Irene said, looking scared. I shook my head, a small smile on my face. "No need." I took out my phone and called Ethan's mother. She picked up quickly. "Did you post that video?" I asked. "Are you afraid of people finding out what you did? Are you scared now?" Martha shouted triumphantly. I paused. "Don't try to evade responsibility," she continued to yell. "I didn't even mind that you killed his father when my son got together with you, but then you demanded such a huge engagement gift I was furious. But you came to me and offered to atone, so I agreed. But cheating on him and running off with another man is too much. Return the $300,000 you demanded and promised to compensate my son for his emotional distress. And I'll delete the video. How about it?" I laughed coldly and hung up. If that's how she wanted to play, I wouldn't hold back anymore. "Let's go to the restaurant you booked and wait for Mr. Sterling. We have a big deal to discuss," I said calmly. If she wanted to play games, I'd play along. I was just wondering how to convince Dominic Sterling to give her company this project, and now she had handed me the perfect opportunity. "Irene, you said Mr. Sterling's project is just a simple product launch, right?" I had gotten some details from her while we were out. Irene's worried expression brightened. "Live streaming e-commerce, yes, and you're viral right now. They just want to promote one new product. It's a small project for them, more like a trial run for Sterling Corporation. If it succeeds, they'll expand. If it fails, they'll drop it with no significant loss. In that case, let's go to the restaurant and wait for them now," I said, smoothing my clothes. When Irene and I arrived at the restaurant, Dominic Sterling and his team were already there, all looking intently at their phones. "Mr. Sterling, my name is Jessica Clark." I walked over and greeted him with a smile, my tone respectful but not subservient. I didn't want to seem desperate or arrogant. With only a bachelor's degree, my power of persuasion was all I had. Dominic Sterling looked up. "I must say, you look even better in person than in the video." He knew who he was meeting today. He made a polite comment and then turned to Irene. "Your father hasn't seen you in a while. I hope you pass this final test." To ensure fairness, Irene's father was not part of the meeting. I smiled and sat down across from him. "You're too kind, Mr. Sterling." He put down his phone and looked at me, his smile warm and approachable. "Miss Clark, you've become quite famous online recently." I nodded, smiling nonchalantly. "Yes, and isn't that perfect for your company's project? I've already prepared my clarification. And what is your plan, Miss Clark?" Mr. Sterling's eyes lit up, seemingly eager to hear my answer. I smiled. "Mr. Sterling, I'd like to see the data on your product first." He was momentarily surprised, then laughed. "It seems you're a professional, Miss Clark. In that case, I'll have my team brief you." He motioned for one of his staff, who handed me the product data. I reviewed it and saw that there was indeed a gap in the market for this kind of product. With the right promotion, it could be a huge success. "Mr. Sterling, the product is solid. I'm just wondering about your promotion strategy." I looked at him directly, voicing my concern. He laughed heartily. "Miss Clark, shouldn't that be your concern?" I smiled back. "Well, if you had already planned a campaign, there would be no need for me. It's an honor that you would entrust such a great product to us." Irene chimed in, "Yes, this product would do well even with another team." I nodded in satisfaction. "Then there's no problem. I guarantee your product will be a massive hit." After all, I was a trending topic. Reporters would be lining up to interview me. Hadn't I already seen some of them? "Miss Clark, you are indeed straightforward," Mr. Sterling's eyes shone. He extended his hand. "Here's to a successful partnership." "To our success," I replied, shaking his hand. Chapter 9. Partnership. With the deal settled, Dominic Sterling called the waiter to order. Irene and I had expected to discuss the details of our collaboration further, but Mr. Sterling simply said, "Miss Clark, rest assured, Sterling Corporation will treat you well. If you make this project a success, we'll have many more for you in the future." "Thank you, Mr. Sterling," I smiled. Since he was being so direct, there was no need for me to be coy. "Mr. Sterling, I have one more request. Please go ahead, Miss Clark. During the live stream, I hope you can provide me with a professional team, including product selection, planning, and post-production," I said slowly. "I can guarantee sales, but I need the support of a team." Without hesitation, Mr. Sterling nodded. "Of course. Don't worry, Miss Clark, I'll provide you with the best team. Thank you very much, Mr. Sterling." With that settled, I had no more concerns. We spent the rest of the meeting discussing the specifics of the live stream before concluding. As we were leaving, Mr. Sterling personally walked me to the door. "Miss Clark, I look forward to our collaboration." He clearly admired me, even seeming to believe I had orchestrated the online smear campaign myself to secure this deal. He had already decided to offer me a position as a planning director at his main headquarters after this project. For the chairman of Sterling Corporation, he was remarkably down to earth. As Irene and I left the restaurant, I asked, "Irene, what do you think of Mr. Sterling?" "With this, Ethan's mother probably won't bother you again, right?" Irene asked. Now that I was backed by Sterling Corporation, Martha would have to think twice. Even if she was clueless, Ethan should understand the situation. This kind of flimsy lie was easily debunked and would only backfire on them. I shook my head. "No, she'll definitely keep coming after me. She wants money." I knew how foolish Martha was, a trait she had passed down to Ethan. He wouldn't want to see me succeed, just like how he had treated me like a maid for 7 years. Besides his face, Ethan had nothing to offer. "Then what do we do? Do you really have a chance to clear your name?" Irene looked worried. "We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. If she wants to play, I'll play along." I sneered. If she dared to treat me this way, she shouldn't expect mercy. "But this will be bad for your reputation," Irene worried. Even with a clarification, there would always be trolls who would choose to ignore the facts and attack me. Irene hadn't wanted me to get involved in this mess for the sake of the project, but it had happened on its own. I smiled. "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing." If she wanted a fight, I'd give her one. We'd see who came out on top. The next day, as promised, I went to the office. As soon as I walked in, I saw Ethan's mother sitting on the reception sofa, looking at me arrogantly. Well, if it isn't Miss Clark, you're finally here. Ready to pay up," she said sarcastically. I walked over and sat down across from her. "What are you doing here? Aren't you afraid I'll expose your lies online?" At that moment, Ethan and his little girlfriend, Lynn, followed her in. This was the girl he had cheated on me with for the past year, and who knows how long they had been a couple in their game. I remained calm as Ethan and Lynn sat down, acting as if I were beneath their notice. I wasn't angry. I glanced at the receptionist, who understood and discreetly started recording on her phone. I had asked them to move the sofa closer to the front desk the night before for better audio. I was the one who had asked them to come. The 3 of them sat there like debt collectors, a sight so ridiculous I almost laughed. Ethan looked at me with disappointment. "I never knew you were this kind of person. I was so wrong about you. If my mom hadn't exposed you, I would have never known." Lynn clung to Ethan's arm like she owned him. "I'm shocked, Miss Clark. You've really opened my eyes. We're not just here for the 300,000. We're here to get justice for my Effie." Martha sneered. "You think you're so great? Do you know who Lynn is? Her family owns a company. It may not be as big as yours, but she's a boss. Unlike you, a mere employee who scams people out of marriage for money." "Scam?" I laughed. "Ethan, open your eyes and look carefully. Who's the scammer here, me or you? First, we were only engaged. Second, I have the bank transfer record proving I returned the engagement gift. Third, I have a photo of your father's autopsy report, and I also have your chat logs with Miss Lynn here from a year ago, proving your relationship. You keep saying I'm the one who wronged you, but where's your evidence?" "Stop slandering me," I shot back, unafraid. Evidence? What more evidence do you need? If you didn't kill my father, why did you feel so guilty that you took care of us for so long and even offered yourself to me? Ethan pulled out his phone and showed me a screenshot from a live stream. He held it up to my face, his arrogance palpable. Isn't this evidence? Jessica Clark, don't think you can do whatever you want just because you've latched onto someone powerful. I heard you're going to work for a big company, but I'm telling you, I won't let you get away with this. I looked at the screenshot in his hand. It was a comment I had intentionally guided netizens to write. Ethan, completely unsuspecting, looked at me smugly. The public doesn't believe you, they believe us. That's the evidence, what an idiot, I sneered. That's just their opinion. Besides, I earn my money through my own hard work. I haven't stolen or robbed anyone. What right do you have to yell at me here, or are you just jealous? I provoked him deliberately. As expected, Ethan took the bait. He glared at me furious. Jealous of you? What is there to be jealous of? You're just an employee. What's there for me to be jealous of? Jessica Clark, don't push it, push it. When you were slandering me, did you think you were being reasonable? I stood up and walked over to him, snatching the phone from his hand. Let me tell you, Ethan Smith, don't think you're so noble. You're just a scumbag who plays with women's feelings. What right do you have to shout at me? You keep saying I'm the one who wronged you, so show me the proof. Don't just make baseless accusations. Proof? What more proof do you need? Isn't the screenshot from the live stream enough? I held up his phone and retorted. Don't you understand the concept of hearsay? Or are you not allowed to speak your mind? Besides, I was just stating a fact. What, are you feeling guilty and trying to shut me up? Lynn, ever the loyal defender, stood up and rushed towards me. Jessica Clark, you bitch, I'm going to teach you a lesson today, she screamed, lunging for the phone and slapping me hard across the face. Chapter 10. Payback. I was prepared. Though the slap stung, I held the phone up high, refusing to let go, and met her venomous gaze. This was my chance. I signaled the receptionist, who wirelessly sent the evidence I had prepared to the phone in my hand. Right there, in front of them, I posted everything. Lynn shrieked as I pushed her to the ground. Martha and Ethan rushed to help her up. I watched them coldly. What, you want to get physical? Look around you. Assault is a crime. You'd better behave or you'll regret it. My tone was firm, my gaze icy. They were intimidated and didn't dare to move closer. Get out now or I'm calling security, I threatened. The three of them exchanged glances and finally left in disgrace. After they were gone, I let out a long breath. Finally, they were gone. I sat on the sofa, looking at the phone in my hand and sneering. That Ethan Smith was a complete fool, so easily provoked. Pathetic, but it saved me the effort. For the next few days, the three of them didn't bother me. The evidence I released was explosive, completely flipping the narrative and escalating the drama to a fever pitch. They were too busy dealing with the nationwide backlash to think about me. As planned, I began my collaboration with Sterling Corporation. Dominic Sterling provided me with a professional team, just as he'd promised. With their help, my live streaming career took off. In just a few days, my audience grew to over 1 million viewers. Product sales skyrocketed, setting a new record for Sterling Corporation within a month. Mr. Sterling was full of praise and even presented me with an award himself. He shook my hand, saying with genuine admiration, "Miss Clark, you are truly a lucky star for Sterling Corporation. I never imagined a simple live stream could bring us such incredible returns. The younger generation is truly formidable," I smiled modestly. "You're too kind, Mr. Sterling, I was just lucky. Luck is a part of skill. You're too humble, Miss Clark," he said, patting my shoulder. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Martha. "Jessica Clark, you just wait. I won't let you get away with this," I smiled and blocked her number. I didn't need to see that kind of trash. In the following days, I remained busy with work and live streaming. The truth about Martha, Ethan, and Lynn was exposed to the entire country. Moral blackmail, complaining about a $60,000 engagement gift while being a kept man, and cheating on a long-term girlfriend, it was all out in the open. Lynn's family company was hit hard. Her father's business suffered greatly as partners began to pull out. Ethan's relatives back in his hometown learned about the scandal, and his reputation was ruined. They brought all of this upon themselves. During this time, I began to find my own direction and purpose. I was no longer the woman who was a victim in love, but a woman with her own career and ambitions. I enjoyed the joy that live streaming brought me and the sense of accomplishment from my work. I knew I had earned all of it through my own efforts, with the invaluable support of Sterling Corporation and Irene. I cherished my job and my team even more. Mr. Sterling mentioned that once I was accustomed to the pace at the main headquarters, he would transfer both me and Irene there. Besides his appreciation for talent, it was also a gesture of respect for Irene's father, who had been with him since the beginning. I knew that only by constantly improving could I build a better life for myself and those around me. So I would keep moving forward. As for Martha, Ethan, and Lynn, I wouldn't waste another thought on them. I would prove with my own success that Jessica Clark was not someone to be trifled with. Anyone who had wronged me would pay the price. Time flew by, and I had been with Sterling Corporation for over a year. I faced many challenges, but I never gave up. At the headquarters, I met new people, learned new things, and honed my skills. With the help of Irene and Mr. Sterling, I gradually adapted to the new environment. My live stream became increasingly popular. I didn't just sell products. I also shared my life and work experiences, becoming a million-follower influencer. Meanwhile, the lives of Martha, Ethan, and Lynn had changed drastically. After learning what he had done, Ethan's relatives disowned him. Lynn's father's business took a huge hit, and his health deteriorated. I felt no sympathy for them. Their situation was a direct consequence of their own choices. I resolved to work even harder, constantly improving myself to leave them so far behind they couldn't even see my dust. But then, something unexpected happened. Ethan's dream of becoming a pro gamer actually came true. Lynn, at the risk of her family's bankruptcy, had poured a fortune into launching his career. Perhaps it was the money or the public's short memory, but the old scandal faded. Now, the gaming world knew him as God of Gaming, and the money he earned even helped Lynn's father's company recover. However, her father's health was failing, and Lynn had to take over the company. One was a female CEO, the other a hotshot gamer. They flaunted their relationship online, taking digs at me and claiming their love was a grand romance, whereas my relationship with Ethan had been loveless. Public opinion became polarized. They then shifted all the blame onto Martha, who, for the sake of her son's future, publicly apologized and begged for my forgiveness. If I didn't forgive her, I was the one being petty. It was the same old moral blackmail. Now, netizens started pitying the single mother, believing she had just made a mistake in a moment of weakness. My live stream comments were flooded with messages demanding I forgive her, as if it were a grave sin not to. Although I was now a director at the company, I still occasionally hosted live streams to promote products or train new hosts, thanks to my popularity. Staring at the comments and seeing the three of them living their best lives, my eyes darkened. I would not let them have their way. Chapter 11. The reversal. I smiled at the comments on the screen, a plan already forming in my mind. I couldn't let their scheme succeed, nor could I let my 7 years of youth be wasted in vain. I took a deep breath, adjusted the camera to make my smile appear brighter, and began my live stream. Hello everyone, it's your host, Jessica. Today, I want to talk about a topic. Forgiveness, I said softly, my voice filled with sincerity and conviction. I know many of you have been leaving comments, hoping I'll forgive Ethan and his family. I've also seen Ethan and Lynn's glamorous life online and their attacks on me. But I want to tell you all, forgiveness is not a simple thing. Forgiveness requires courage, understanding, and most importantly, truth. We can't forgive someone just because they seem pitiful or because they beg for it. And we certainly shouldn't harm ourselves because of their mistakes. We need to think calmly and judge rationally to make the right decision. I smiled at the camera and continued. So, I will not forgive them simply because of Martha's pleas. I will continue to do my job, bringing you great products and happy moments. At the same time, I will firmly defend my rights and my dignity. The comment section erupted with angry messages. Such high-sounding words for someone so petty. I can't believe how small-minded this host is. I was wrong about her. They've been through a lot. Her husband died, so she was desperate and latched onto you. Otherwise, you'd never have had a chance with our god of gaming. These were Ethan's fans, mostly infatuated with his looks, willing to overlook his flawed gaming skills. Seeing their extremist comments, I decided to lay everything bare. I shared the story of my 7 years with Ethan. To be honest with you all, I was initially attracted to Ethan's looks. I accepted the blame for his father's death because I was young and naive, thinking my act of kindness was somehow my fault. I then showed photos I had taken over the years, documenting our life together. I thought they would be cherished memories. Instead, they became my evidence. I described the incident with the glass of water, showing the scar on my ankle. I presented the chat logs between Ethan and Lynn, which went back 4 or 5 years. I recounted the time Ethan and Martha came to my parents' house after I became pregnant, arrogantly demanding I marry him on their terms. I laid out everything, unafraid of the past. The live stream fell silent. Then the comments started to change. So the host is the real victim here. Your god of gaming was with Lynn all along. Why was he still stringing her along? And he was engaged to her. He was cheating on her. Lynn knew he was taken. She's a homewrecker. And he got her pregnant. Good thing she didn't keep it, or she'd still be trapped. How could we forget what they did just because they're a popular couple now? The atmosphere in the live stream shifted. The focus was no longer on Ethan and Lynn. The occasional negative comment was quickly drowned out. Finally, I picked up our company's new product. An amazing product at an incredible value, only $9.99, the chat filled with lighthearted jokes. Hey, the host is playing with our emotions. I had diffused the situation easily, something Lynn had not expected. Her obsession with targeting me had reached a fever pitch. Ethan would often compare her to me, complaining that while I had doted on him like a mother, he now had to treat her like a daughter. Naturally, he was resentful. I knew it was only a matter of time before his true, rotten nature revealed itself to Lynn. I just didn't expect Lynn to blame me for all of it. She did something so shocking, I could hardly believe it. She started photoshopping my old pictures, spreading vicious rumors, and describing me with the most degrading terms. She even altered my photos to be sexually explicit and posted them online. She also used AI to deepfake my face onto pornographic videos. This was something I could not tolerate. If Lynn was going to be so ruthless, I would not spare her. Ethan was known for his gaming skills. I would expose him. I knew how much of that was a sham. I knew his real skill level. He lost 9 out of 10 games. That's why he yelled at me constantly for 7 years. Lynn's company was small, making it an easy target. But I needed a legitimate reason, as Sterling Corporation wasn't my personal property. As for the explicit videos, Lynn had somehow managed to protect herself and throw her own father under the bus. She figured he was already sick and didn't have long to live, so she might as well use him one last time. But the law has a long reach. I found evidence of her crimes. The distribution of obscene material is a serious offense. Even if she didn't profit from it, she had spread it. When the police arrested Lynn at her company, a crowd of reporters gathered. I was among them, watching her pathetic state. The downfall of a hotshot female CEO was prime news, after all. As she was led away, disheveled and lost, she caught my eye. Her gaze was filled with pure hatred. She gritted her teeth and hissed, "Bitch, you seduced my Ethy, you deserve this." The reporter's eyes lit up. One shoved a microphone forward. "Excuse me, are you saying you did this because you were jealous of Miss Clark?" But they didn't get their answer. Lynn was quickly taken away. I heard she was sentenced, but her father paid a hefty sum to get her out. Her reputation online, however, was in ruins and only getting worse. The explicit images were taken down by the police, and Lynn had to pay me a significant amount in compensation. It was enough for me to buy a house in a city. My parents were close to retirement, and I wanted to bring them here so I could take care of them. They readily agreed. But I never expected Ethan to start playing the remorseful ex, trying to win me back. He began contacting me frequently, apologizing, and even waiting for me outside my office building just to see me. He looked haggard, a bitter smile on his lips. "Jessica, I was wrong. I was blind before. I know now who truly cared for me." I looked at him, my heart completely still. "Ethan, do you really think saying that now will make me forgive you?" He grabbed my hand desperately. "I know I hurt you, but I'm willing to make it up to you. I'll spend the rest of my life atoning for it." I gently pulled my hand away. "Make it up. How can you? You wasted 7 years of my life. Do you think you can just make that up?" Ethan was stunned. He clearly hadn't expected me to say that. I took a deep breath. "Ethan, we are over. The damage you've done can't be fixed with an apology. I have my own life now, my family. I don't want anything to do with you ever again." With that, I turned and left, leaving him standing there, completely frozen. I knew why he was here. Lynn's family had gone bankrupt. Of course, I had a hand in it, just a little push with public opinion and exposing some flaws in their products. With Lynn broke, Ethan no longer had someone to support him, to worship him. His ego was bruised, so he came running back to me. But his efforts were all talk. While it didn't matter to me, it was classic Ethan. At least he wasn't completely destitute. He was done with Lynn now, considering her useless. He started treating her the same way he had treated me when he was gaming. "Don't bother me when I'm playing, don't you know I'm a pro? You can't even do basic housework. What kind of girlfriend are you? You're all depending on my gaming to survive now. What's wrong with me not spending time with you?" Ethan began to complain that Lynn was annoying and unreasonable. But Lynn, having been pampered her whole life, wouldn't put up with it. They started having furious arguments. This, in turn, made Ethan nostalgic for how good I had been, and he redoubled his efforts to win me back. Chapter 12. The end, he seemed to have finally figured something out, as he started sending me roses and jewelry, even buying me the moissanite and silver earrings I had once wanted. But I returned everything. If he wouldn't take them back, I threw them away. After a while, some colleagues who didn't know the full story started trying to persuade me. "Director Clark, I think this guy is really trying. He seems sincere in his regret. Even if he made mistakes, you were together for 7 years. You even carried his child. It might be hard for you to find someone else." Before I could say anything to the young woman, Irene spoke up. She had just returned with a coffee and overheard the conversation. "If you think he's so great, you should go for him. Or do you like gaming, so you've fallen for him?" "Oh, no, he's a top 3 player in the country. He'd never notice me. Director Clark is the perfect match for him," said Chloe, a newcomer I was training. I knew she meant well, but she was completely missing the point. I tapped her on the head. "Worry about yourself. Him, a top 3 player?" I scoffed. It was time for Ethan's downfall. It was incredibly easy to prove his skills were fake. His handsome face attracted fans, so a corporation had hired a ghost player for him. Why else would the pro leagues reject him, forcing him to become a streamer? And he still had the gall to act like he was deeply in love with me. As for Lynn, she was probably enduring the life I once had, a life of suppression and carefully trying to please him. I never wanted to experience that again. During a routine live stream, I realized how quickly the public forgets in this fast-paced world. Ethan hadn't been exposed yet, so his reputation was still intact. Lynn, on the other hand, was universally hated after her criminal conviction, and everyone thought she was unworthy of him. And because I was now successful and his ex-girlfriend of 7 years, people started hoping we would get back together. They blamed all of Ethan's past mistakes on Lynn's malice, calling her a shameless homewrecker who had deceived him into leaving me. They had completely forgotten what I had told them about my 7 years with him. I sneered. Fine, I would remind them. I finished selling my products and started chatting with my followers. One comment stood out, highlighted because the user had paid for it. The host was pregnant with Ethy's child. Why won't she take him back? It's harder for a woman who's been pregnant to get married. She should be happy he still wants her. Just then, Ethan requested to join my live stream for a grand, public declaration of love. He entered my stream and sent me 99 virtual roses. Total cost, about $10. But his young fans thought it was the most romantic gesture ever. Some even started attacking me for stealing their idol. Ethan's comments flooded the screen. "My love, are you not taking me back because you're still upset about Lynn? I didn't know about the terrible things she did. I wasn't with her then. I only got with her because I was so heartbroken after we broke up. She forced me to be her in-game couple for a year, threatening to kill herself. I've always loved you. Have you forgotten our 7 years together?" The chat was filled with his fawning fans. "So touching, Ethy is so devoted." Yes, he never gave up on love even after being heartlessly abandoned. This is all Lynn's fault. If she hadn't interfered, these two lovebirds would never have broken up. I felt a wave of nausea at their delusional comments, so I said one simple thing. "Did you know your idol fakes his skills?" This made Ethan appear even more heartbroken. He commented, "I know you won't forgive me, but you don't have to slander me." I sneered. "I don't need to slander you. All you have to do is stream one game with your camera on your hands and you'll be exposed. Your skills are all thanks to a talented player behind the scenes. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't have your looks, so he's stuck in the shadows. But don't worry, Sterling Corporation doesn't care about appearances. We've already hired him and promised to give him his own stream with a full team and resources. If you check online now, you'll see." On his own screen, Ethan's face turned ashen, then contorted with rage. He jabbed a finger at his screen, then smashed it with his hand. "Jessica Clark, you fucking bitch," he furiously ended his stream and stormed off, cursing. This was the real Ethan, the one I knew, unmasked and raw. He only ever cared about himself. Lynn was just a pawn. My fingers gently traced the screen. I thought back to the beginning of our relationship, how innocent I was, how I believed all his empty promises. I was useful to him then. When that changed, his true nature came out. It was the same with Lynn. I smiled and ended my live stream. Ethan didn't care about Lynn, so I would make sure he paid for it. Lynn would eventually realize the truth, but I never imagined she would become so unhinged as to try to kill me. My claim that Ethan faked his skills caused a massive uproar. I followed it up by saying to my audience, "We were together for 7 years. Don't you think I would know him best?" I then had Ethan's ghost player stream, and his technique was identical to Ethan's. Meanwhile, Ethan couldn't find a suitable replacement and stopped streaming altogether. The fans grew more and more suspicious. They started digging up his old gaming accounts and records. His stats were abysmal. He was a terrible player. The doubts grew, and they demanded an explanation. But they didn't get one. Instead, as I was getting into my car in the underground parking garage, Lynn rushed out and stabbed me. The world went dark. The last thing I saw was Irene's horrified face running towards me and a man in a suit beside her. When I opened my eyes again, I was in a hospital. I learned that Lynn had been sentenced to life in prison for attempted murder. Ethan, under immense public pressure, had admitted to faking his skills. Of course, Irene and the man behind her had helped make that happen. I lay weakly in bed and asked Irene, "Is that your boyfriend?" Irene blushed. "No, that's Leo Sterling, Mr. Sterling's son. I'm his secretary now." I smiled, seeing how Leo leaned protectively towards Irene. Even after a failed 7-year relationship, I could still recognize love when I saw it. It was clear he liked her, and from her shy expression, she liked him too. I didn't press the issue. Instead, I asked, "What happened to Ethan?" I wasn't concerned for his well-being, only that he was suffering. Irene snorted. "That guy's face is really his fortune. He's not gaming anymore, but he's started acting in the entertainment industry. With that face, he's attracted a whole new legion of mindless fans." I sighed. "Being handsome really does get you places." Chapter 13. Finale. While Irene and I were attractive, we weren't otherworldly beauties. But Ethan was. He had a mesmerizing, handsome face. If it weren't for the 7 years of disgust he had instilled in me, I might have been captivated too. But I wasn't one to let those who had harmed me get away scot-free. I didn't believe Lynn's attack in the parking garage happened without Ethan's involvement. He was retaliating because I had poached his ghost player. He must have said something to Lynn to incite her. I couldn't believe she would be foolish enough to commit such a brazen act of violence, ruining her own life on her own. I also heard that when her father learned of the incident, his illness relapsed and he passed away on the spot. Then, I received a package from a private investigator. It was from Lynn's father. I was stunned. Why would he send something to me? Inside was a voice recorder and a letter. Irene, curious, said, "Wow, on his deathbed, he writes to you instead of his daughter and sends you a recorder? Who knows? Let's find out what it is." Just as I was about to play it, there was a knock on the door. It was Leo and his friend looking for Irene. "Is Irene here?" I nodded and stepped aside. I noticed the cheerful young man behind him looking at me with sparkling eyes. "You're that ex-girlfriend who's been all over the internet." I winced at the strange title. "Come in," I said flatly. His name was Lucas Vance, Leo's business partner. We all listened to the recording together. It was a heated argument between Ethan and Lynn in a hospital room. "Yes, I love her. Why? Because you're not as good as she is, she would tolerate me, but you won't. Besides, you weren't a virgin who knows how many guys you've been with," Lynn's broken voice replied. "I was that day." "How could you not know? How would I know? The point is, you're not as pure as Jessica. She was with me for 7 years, I can't do her wrong." "If you really love me, you'll have to be the one in the shadows," Ethan said. "How can I be with you openly?" Lynn asked. "Unless Jessica is dead," Ethan replied. Even on the recording, his voice was venomous and slick, like a snake. The rest of the recording was just him placating Lynn. I had no interest in hearing it. I opened the letter. "My daughter has wronged you. This is the last thing I can do for you. I never liked Ethan either, so this is partly for my own selfish reasons. I'm sorry." "Thank you," those were the last words. There was no signature. I was cautious. I first had the recording authenticated, confirming the time and place of the conversation. Only then did I release it. At the time, Ethan was just starting to make a name for himself in the entertainment industry, having landed a role in a popular web series. A scumbag like him needed to disappear for good. I also gathered evidence of him soliciting prostitutes. That would be enough to bring him down. Martha, decked out in gold and silver, proudly watched her son on set, oblivious to the final blow that was about to land. Suddenly, an audio clip went viral online, and the internet exploded. "What? That new rising star is a manipulative scumbag. It's true I heard the whole thing. I knew it. All his past scandals were just swept under the rug. I heard he frequents those kinds of places too. His private life is a mess, and he's a terrible person. This is huge. He manipulated a woman into trying to commit murder, and he wanted to keep her as a mistress. Hilarious. He's living in the dark ages." In an instant, Ethan was blacklisted. He immediately knew I was behind it, but he was too busy trying to save himself. The entertainment industry is not an easy place to be, and someone with a pretty face but a mountain of scandals could only rely on a wealthy patron. But with the public outcry and official condemnation, not even a patron could save him. The person who had been supporting him kept him around, but now he was just a kept man, a canary in a cage. The next time I saw him, he was at a nightclub, forcing a smile and being plied with alcohol. I was there to discuss business with a client, with my recent shadow, Lucas, in tow. He seemed very interested in me, but I wasn't interested back. He was too young, only 20. I was 5 years older. "Jessica, please, teach me your ways. You're so capable. I could learn so much from you," Lucas would say, following me around. "Besides, you're a walking headline. Being around someone with so much drama is the best way to stay entertained." I just smiled and ignored him. We entered a private room, and I froze. Ethan was there, disheveled and sprawled on a sofa in a state of utter humiliation. I had assumed he was the one buying, not selling. A complicated feeling washed over me. When he saw me, his face burned with shame. But the rich women in the room treated him like an object. Though nothing explicit happened, he was subjected to every kind of humiliation. I watched with a sense of grim satisfaction, pulling Lucas to a seat to observe the show. Finally, unable to bear it anymore, Ethan stormed out of the room. I chuckled, then turned to my client with Lucas to discuss business. The deal was a success, and I earned a large commission. After that, I brought my retired parents to a city to live with me. They were happy to relax, joining the local seniors for square dancing in the park every day. Irene and Leo got together, their relationship and marriage announced to a flood of public blessings. People compared it to Ethan and Lynn's disastrous announcement, and the difference was stark. Lucas proposed to me. I don't know why he liked me, but I said no. My career was my priority. Eventually, I decided to have a child on my own through IVF. I ignored Lucas's pouty face and went back to work, only to hear him chuckle behind me. Silly you, the donor was me, I froze. Faced with his relentless, roguish charm, I finally gave in. The last time I saw Ethan was when the four of us, Leo, Irene, Lucas, and I were on vacation. He was a homeless man on the street, ravaged by some disease. Even the sex industry wouldn't take him for fear of infection. One night, while trying to solicit, he was arrested. He probably wouldn't get out of prison in this lifetime. As for Martha, she was scavenging for a living. When she saw me again, she tried the old moral blackmail. You have to take care of me, you owe our family a life you owe us. She lunged at me, claws out, but Lucas stepped in front of me. She didn't reach us, just stood there, muttering to herself, even putting trash in her mouth to eat. She had lost her mind. I sighed. I didn't bother with them anymore. They had brought it all upon themselves. If you want a life of ease without working for it, you have to be prepared to pay the price. Later, I heard Ethan died in prison. When the news reached me, I was at home, watching Lucas play with our child. My expression was calm. I simply went back to my work. He reaped what he sowed, didn't he?